Hello students, welcome to Easy Science YouTube channel. Before going to the class, please subscribe to Easy Science YouTube channel and click the bell icon so that you will never miss an update from my channel. So let's move to our class today. Today we'll discuss about acids, bases, salts, and this is part 2. So we have already completed part 1 and this is part 2. Let's move to the class. So the reaction of acids with metal oxides. In the previous class we have discussed about what will happen if acids react with metals and if an acid react with metal carbonates and bicarbonates and acids react with bases we have discussed. These all are chemical properties of acids and bases. Now today's topic is the reaction of acids with metal oxides. See, you know what are metal oxides? Metal oxides means the metals reacting with oxides to produce their respective oxides. For example, magnesium reacts with oxygen to give rise to magnesium oxide. So this is the oxide of metal. And this is the balanced equation, right? So what will happen if this metal oxides are reacting with acids? If acids react with metal oxides, they produce salt and water. So here I have given an equation, that is sulfuric acid reacts with copper oxide to give rise to copper sulfate and water. So we'll write the equation here. Sulfuric acid H2SO4 reacts with copper oxide, this is metal oxide, right, to give rise to CuSO4 copper sulfate plus water is liberated in this reaction, right. That means if acids react with metal oxides, this is the generalized equation, they produce salt and water. So this is the generalized equation. Whenever an acid reacts with metal oxide, it produces salt and water. This is nothing but a neutralization reaction. You already know that we have already completed in class 8 that metals and non-metals, that is all metallic oxides are basic in nature. So acids react with bases to produce salt and water. The same thing here. Acids react with metal oxides to give salt and water. So what will happen if non-metal oxides react with bases to form salt and water? Like what will happen if non-metallic oxides react with bases? So this is the generalized equation, that is if non-metal oxides react with base, it produces salt and water. So here I have given equation that carbon dioxide reacts with sodium hydroxide. Carbon dioxide is a non-metallic oxide because carbon is a non-metal. It's oxide. So carbon dioxide is a non-metallic oxide which reacts with sodium hydroxide to give rise to sodium carbonate and water. So here sodium carbonate is a salt and water is produced. So this is a generalized equation where non-metallic oxides react with bases to produce salt and water. See, we know that even the non-metallic oxides are acidic in nature. In metals and non-metals, we have already discussed that the non-metallic oxides are acidic in nature. So, if acids react with a base, they will give salt and water. That we call it as a neutralization reaction. Here the same thing takes place. Non-metallic oxides are reacting with bases to give salt and water. So, this is about the reaction of acids with metallic oxides and bases with non-metallic oxides. This is nothing but a neutralization reaction, right? So do acids conduct electricity? This is an activity that showing that do acids will conduct electricity. So for a lab activity, we need some materials, right? So to conduct this activity, what are the materials required? So if we observe, the materials required are beaker, conducting wires and graphite rods hydrochloric acid solution is bulb, battery is required to conduct this activity. So before going to the activity, prepare the aqueous solution of hydrochloric acid. So you have to take water and add 2 to 3 drops of hydrochloric acid to the water, which gives you hydrochloric acid solution. That solution we have taken inside the beaker. Insert 2 graphite rods to the beaker. Connect the conducting wires to the 2 graphite rods. The other end of the conducting wires are connected to the battery and the bulb. And if you switch on, current is passing and the bulb starts glowing, shows that acids can conduct electricity. So how this is possible? How an acid can conduct electricity? Now you can do this activity with other substances also. Like here I have given HCl acid solution, and we can conduct this activity with H2SO4, sulfuric acid, glucose and alcohol, ethyl alcohol I have taken. So the 4 solutions I have taken and conducted the same activity for 4 times, and I observed that the bulb will glow only when hydrochloric acid and sulfuric acid was used. The bulb glows only when sulfuric acid and hydrochloric solution was used. The bulb do not glow if glucose solution or ethyl alcohol solution is used. The bulb do not glow, showing that acids when get dissolved in water can able to conduct electricity. You know, a substance can able to conduct electricity should contain free electrons, like what we discussed in metals. All metals are good conductors of electricity or heat. That's why we call them as conductors. Right? Metals are called as conductors because they are good conductors of heat and electricity, because they contain free electrons. Here, how the acid was able to conduct electricity? What happens when an acid get dissolved in water? Right? Let's discuss that. When an acid get dissolved in water, HCl dissolved in water, it gives rise to H3O plus ions. That means HCl in dissolving in water, like in the presence of the water, dissociates into H plus and Cl minus ions. But H plus ions are highly reactive, right? They are highly reactive. So what they will do is they react with the water. H plus ion reacts with water and converted into H3O plus ion. These ions are called as hydronium ions. So whenever an acid dissolved in water, it has free ions. The free ions are responsible for conducting electricity. If glucose and ethyl alcohol we used, the bulb do not glow. The reason is when glucose and ethyl alcohol are dissolving in water, they do not produce any ions. Like when they get dissolved in water, free ions are not present. Conduction is possible only if there are free electrons or free ions, which is possible only for acids and bases only. And if we have done the activity with a base also, the bulb glows because bases have OH minus ions, right? So when a base dissolved in water in the presence of water dissociates into Na plus and OH minus ions. Here also free ions are there which are responsible for conducting electricity. So acids and bases can conduct electricity because when they get dissolved in water they have free ions. Now the next activity is, do the acids, you know, already we discussed about indicators that acids turn blue litmus to red color, right? So will the change of color of the litmus paper takes place, right, even with a dry acid, that is is not dissolved in water, like not in a solution form or not in aqueous form, will the acids can change the color of the litmus paper, right? So for this activity, like any lab activity, we need some materials, right? So for this activity, what materials are necessary means, we have to take a conical flask which contain concentrated sulfuric acid and a test tube which contain sodium chloride. So what will happen here? So here I will show you. The reaction was in between sodium chloride and sulfuric acid. So what are the products formed is, right, HCl, hydrochloric acid is formed and Na2SO4. So the balanced equation is here 2HCl, here 2 I will write. So this is the reaction takes place. So here, this is the activity where we have taken sodium chloride solution in a test tube and we are slowly adding concentrated sulfuric acid to the test tube. So some gas is liberating from the test tube and pass this gas into a tube which contains calcium chloride. See, whatever moisture is present can be absorbed by the calcium chloride. That's why we have passed the gas into a test tube which contains calcium chloride. So any sort of moisture is available that will be absorbed by this calcium chloride. Now the gas produced is hydrochloric acid gas which do not contain any moisture. That's why the gas is termed as dry hydrochloric acid gas, dry HCl gas which do not have any moisture. Now bring a dry litmus paper and wet litmus paper near the test tube and test the gas with both dry litmus paper and wet litmus paper. And we identified that, see, this is the test tube where the reaction takes place. We have closed the test tube and insert a delivery tube so that the gas will be passed into another test tube which contains calcium chloride. This has to be done only if moisture is available. If you think that there is no moisture, no need of passing the hydrochloric acid gas into the another test tube which contains calcium chloride. So now what happens is, slowly through the delivery tube the gas was liberating, and if you bring a dry litmus paper, like dry blue litmus paper we have brought near the gas, but the gas do not able to turn the color of the blue litmus paper. And the second time we have brought the wet litmus paper, wet blue litmus paper near the hydrochloric acid gas, and it slowly started changing its color. That means only in the presence of moisture, acids are able to turn blue litmus paper to red. If they are not present in aqueous solutions, they are not able to change the color of the blue litmus paper. So the dissociation of hydrochloric acid in water is, I already said, hydrochloric acid reacts with water to give rise to H3O plus and Cl minus. Like that, sodium hydroxide, which is a base dissolved in water, produce OH minus ions. So on dissolving bases in water produces OH minus ions. Bases which are soluble in water are called alkalis, but all bases do not dissolve in water. So the dry hydrochloric acid cannot able to change the color of the dry litmus paper, but the dry hydrochloric acid can able to change the color of the wet litmus paper. To change the color, or acids or bases show their properties, like some of the properties we have discussed till now. So all these properties can be shown only in the presence of moisture. The reason why, what is the reason why acids and bases can able to show their properties only in the presence of moisture? Because acids and bases, when get dissolved in water, they have free ions. We already discussed here. They have free ions, and these free ions are responsible for the properties of acids and bases. So when they do not dissolve in water, they do not have any free ions and they cannot show any properties. Right? And bases which are soluble in water are called as alkalis. All bases do not able to dissolve in water. That's why we have a statement that all alkalis are bases. All alkalis are bases, but all bases are not alkalis, because all alkalis are bases. What do you mean by an alkali? What is an alkali? Alkali means the base which is dissolved in water is known as alkali. So all alkalis are bases, but all bases are not alkalis because all bases are not soluble in water. The base which is soluble in water only can termed as an alkali. Right. Next one. So this is the warning sign. So this is a warning sign which can be shown on the bottles of concentrated acids. The warning sign displayed on the containers which contains concentrated acids and bases also. See, you should not touch acids with your hands because they are highly reactive. Acids and bases are highly reactive. See, the process of dissolving an acid or base with water is an highly exothermic reaction which releases a lot of heat energy which can burns your hand. That's why a warning sign should be written on the containers which contain strong acids like concentrated acids and bases, showing that do not touch the acids with naked hands. You should not do that because they are highly reactive, and the reaction of an acid with a base, the reaction of an acid or base with water is an highly exothermic reaction. You know what is an exothermic reaction? The reaction in which heat is liberated is known as exothermic reaction. It's an highly exothermic reaction which releases a lot of heat energy which can harm your hands, and even the test tube you are holding can break also with that heat energy. That's why, like while diluting acids, it is always recommended to add acid to water. First take water in a test tube and slowly add acid to the water, but not water to acid. That means taking acid in a test tube and add water to the test tube. This is not recommended. It's recommended to add acid to water but not water to acid. Why? What is the reason why it was recommended like that? Because the reaction between an acid with water is a highly exothermic reaction. That's why it is recommended to add acid to water but not water to acid. Right. And here is one more activity to know the strength of an acids. Like we have strong acids, weak acids, strong bases, weak bases. Like to do this activity, we need two beakers like A and B. The beaker A contains acetic acid and the beaker B contains hydrochloric acid. You know acetic acid, like we want to know whether both the acids have same strength or not. So the same arrangement like which we have done in the activity that acids can conduct electricity, the same arrangement we have taken, and initially I use hydrochloric acid in the beaker and observe the intensity of the bulb. The bulb glows in both the cases because acetic acid is an acid and hydrochloric acid is an acid. Both get dissolved in water, produces free ions, can conduct electricity, and the bulb glows. In both the cases the bulb glows, but I want to know the strength of the acids. Like I want to know about the strength of the acids, which is a strong acid and which is a weak acid, I want to know. So in both the cases the bulb glows, but I'll observe the intensity of the light. The bulb glows. What about the intensity of the bulb? When I used hydrochloric acid, the bulb glows brightly, very brightly, showing that it has higher intensity. And when I used acetic acid, the intensity of the bulb is less. That means the bulb is not that much bright. The light from the bulb is not that much bright, showing that the intensity of the bulb is less. So, by this activity, I concluded that acetic acid is a weak acid and hydrochloric acid is a strong acid. What is the reason? If you use hydrochloric acid, the intensity of the bulb is more, that is the brightness of the bulb is more, and if you use acetic acid, the brightness of the bulb is less. What is the reason? The reason is hydrochloric acid is a strong acid. Like by this activity we concluded that hydrochloric acid is a strong acid and acetic acid is a weak acid. What do you mean by a strong acid and weak acid? Strong acid means which contains more number of H plus ions. See, if HCl is there, right, when it get dissolved in water, completely dissociates into its constituent ions, that is H plus and Cl minus ions. After some time, if you observe, there are no whole molecules of hydrochloric acid. Total acid is dissociates into H plus and Cl minus ions. But in case of acetic acid, the dissociation is less. Only some amount of acid was dissociated into its constituent ions. Even after some time, like when it get dissolved in water, after some time there are some whole molecules of acetic acid. That means it has less number of H plus ions. As hydrochloric acid has more number of H plus ions, the conduction is very fast and the intensity, more number of ions are present, showing the brightness of the bulb is more. And in the case of acetic acid, the number of H plus ions are less. That's why the intensity of the bulb is less. So by this activity, we can able to know the strength of an acid or base. Right. Now, this is called pH scale. This is called as pH scale. So what is a pH scale? So what it will show? pH scale shows what? Right. Let's discuss now. It's a pH scale is a scale for measuring the hydrogen ion concentration in a solution. pH scale is nothing but a scale which is used to measure the concentration of hydrogen ions in a solution. And in pH, the P stands for potence. It's a German word. Potence means power. So the pH value of a solution simply indicate the given solution is acidic, basic or neutral. There is a value that is called pH value and the value indicate the given solution is acidic, basic or neutral solution. So if you observe, like on the scale there are some numbers from 0 to 14, you have some numbers, right? So 0 to 6 are termed as acids, here I have given, and the 7 is neutral, and 8 to 14 they are alkaline, or we can call it as bases. So the correct word is basis. So this is a scale which can measure the hydrogen ion concentration and it has some values 0 to 14. By knowing the value, you can able to tell whether the given substance is an acid or base or neutral substances. 0 to 6 are, if the pH values are from 0 to 6, they are acids. If the pH value is 7, it is neutral. And if the pH values are from 8 to 14, they are bases. And here 0 to 6, as you move from 0 to 6, the acidity decreases. As you move from 0 to 6, the acidity decreases. That means 0 is considered as strong acid and 6 is considered as a weak acid. Decreases. Acidity decreases from 0 to 6. And for bases, 8 to 14 are termed as bases, and you move from 8 to 14, the basicity increases. So 8, if the pH value is 8, it is called as weak base, and if the pH value is 14, it is termed as a strong base. So by knowing the pH value, you can easily tell whether the given substance is an acid, base or neutral substance. So some of the values of some substances here I have given. So sodium hydroxide, it's 13.5, which is a very strong base, and household bleach, its pH value is 13. Ammonium solution pH value is 11. Even soap also it is 11. Detergent pH value is 10, and milk of magnesia pH value is 9, and X pH value is 8. So here we can say that sodium hydroxide is a strong base because its pH value is 13.5 and X pH value is 8. So they are called as weak bases. Eggs are called as weak bases because their pH value is 8. Blood, it's 7, and pure water is also 7, it's neutral. Milk, it is 6.5. Coffee, it is 5. Tomato juice, 5. Orange juice, it's 4.5. Soda pop, it's 3, and vinegar, lemon juice, it's 2, and hydrochloric acid is 1. So you can say that hydrochloric acid is a strong acid. Why we can say that hydrochloric acid is a strong acid? Because its pH value is 1. pH value is 1, it's a strong base, and pH value 6 means it's a weak acid. pH value 1 means strong acid and pH value 6 means it's weak acid. Right. So as you move towards the right side from 0 to 6, acidity will decreases. In case of bases, they are from 8 to 14 and you move towards the right side, that is from 8 to 14, basicity will increases. Right. So let's discuss about the importance of pH in our daily life. Like all the living organisms are pH sensitive. That means they can survive in a narrow pH range. So any change in the pH value, whether increase or decrease also, any change in the pH value will causes disturbance to the normal metabolic activities of a living organism. So there is some importance to pH in our daily life. So the first one is pH changes causes tooth decay. Right. So we'll eat food, right, which contains, most of the food contains carbohydrates, which we generally called it as sugars. Right. So if you go to any dental doctor or on any toothpaste, it has to be written on that, brush your teeth twice a day and you have to thoroughly wash your mouth after eating food. The reason is the food we are eating contains more amount of carbohydrates. Generally we call it as sugars. Mouth contains a lot of microorganisms. So these microorganisms will break down the sugars that was present inside the food. Food gets stuck between the teeth, which gets stuck between the teeth will be break down by the microorganisms present inside the mouth. So microorganisms, like most of the bacteria, liberates acids, like lactic acid is liberated, which lowers the pH value of the mouth. That means pH value, generally pH value is 5.5. So if lactic acid is liberating, slowly the pH value will decreases, because you know the pH value is less, it's a strong acid. So pH value slowly decreases. And our teeth is made up of enamel. Enamel is made up of calcium phosphate, which is a hardest substance. It cannot be dissolved in water, but it gets corroded. When the pH value decreases, which we called it as tooth decay. So, if pH value decreases, it leads to tooth decay. So, how can you prevent tooth decay? Means you have to wash your mouth thoroughly after eating anything, and you have to brush your teeth twice a day and use toothpaste which are basic in nature, so that whatever acids that are prepared or produced can be neutralized by the base present in the toothpaste. pH in our digestive system. Whenever food enters into the stomach, gastric glands secrete gastric juice, right? The gastric juice contains an acid called hydrochloric acid. So sometimes the quantity of hydrochloric acid will be liberated will not be dependent on the amount of the food. That times you have burning sensation inside your stomach, which we called it as acidity. So if you use any mild base, right, or antacid tablet which contains bases, a neutralization reaction takes place which neutralizes the base. That means whenever hydrochloric acid is liberated, which lowers the pH value of stomach, which causes burning sensation. And pH of the soil. Soil also contains a lot of microorganisms. Whatever food present inside the soil, right, will be break down by the microorganisms present in the soil and liberate some acids which decreases the pH of the soil. If pH of the soil decrease, it's difficult to grow crops in that land. So before going to sow the crops in a field, the farmer has to send his soil for soil test to an agriculture center, in order to test the soil, whether the soil is acidic or basic. So if the soil is acidic in nature, he has to treat his soil with calcium hydroxide, which can neutralizes the acid present in the soil. Then only he has to grow for crops. Right. So the last one is self-defense by animals. Some of the animals will release acids in order to protect themselves. Right. So honeybee sting. Right. If bee sting leaves an acid which causes pain and irritation. So how can you get rid of that pain? Means that area where you have stung by an honeybee should be rubbed by a mild base like baking soda, gives you relief. The stinging of hair of the leaves of nettle plant. So it is growing in the regions like forest regions, this nettle plant, and if you touch the leaf, it gives you a burning sensation because that leaves an acid on your hand, that is methanoic acid. We generally called it as formic acid, and it causes burning pain. A traditional remedy is rubbing the area with the leaf of the dog plant, which often grows besides the nettle in the wild region, gives you relief. So this is the self-defense by animals. So let's discuss some of the questions which can be asked in this topic. And you are provided with 3 test tubes which containing distilled water, acid and base. All are colorless solutions. In 3 test tubes they are present. Like we have named the test tubes as A, B, C. And the 3 test tubes have distilled water, acid and base. And you are provided with red litmus paper. How can you test? And you have to test with the litmus paper, red litmus paper, and you have to tell which test tube contain acid, which test tube contain base, and which test tube contain distilled water. So with that red litmus paper only, I have dipped the red litmus paper in test tube A. This is test tube A. Right. Now, I didn't observe any change with red litmus paper. That means test tube A contains whether an acid or distilled water, because acids do not show any change with red litmus paper. Even neutral solutions also do not show any change with litmus paper. Distilled water is neutral. So the test tube A may contain an acid or distilled water. Now the same litmus paper, red litmus paper, I have dipped in the test tube B. Now the test tube, like the litmus paper, red litmus paper, when I dip in test tube B, it changes into blue color. So the portion of the red litmus that was dipped inside the test tube had changed into blue color. So the substance which changed red litmus to blue color is a base. Now some part of the red litmus paper is blue color. Now again I have dipped the litmus paper in test tube C. Even I didn't observe any change. Now I have blue and red litmus paper. Both of them I do not observe any change. Definitely the test tube C contains distilled water which is neutral. Do not show any color change with red or blue litmus paper. Now the same litmus paper like blue litmus I have dipped in test tube A. It turns into red color, showing that the test tube A contains acid. In this way, we can test the solutions present in the test tubes A, B and C. Right. The solutions of glucose in the activity that acids conduct electricity, we have used glucose and alcohol solutions. Instead of hydrochloric acid and sulfuric acid, we have used glucose and alcohol. But the bulb do not glow. You know, glucose chemical formula is C6H12O6 and ethyl alcohol is C2H5OH. Both the substances has hydrogen even though they do not conduct electricity. Hydrogens can able to conduct electricity because they have H plus ions, we are saying. The same thing here, glucose and alcohol also has hydrogen. Why it cannot able to conduct electricity? That is, the bulb do not glow because these substances, that is glucose and alcohol dissolved in water, they do not produce any free ions. For conduction of electricity, free ions are necessary. Those free ions are not present in glucose and ethyl alcohol. That's why you do not observe the bulb glowing. Right. So give reason why only wet blue litmus paper can turn into red. See, in that activity also dry hydrochloric acid is produced. Right. The dry hydrochloric acid can turn the color of the litmus paper. Only wet blue litmus paper turns into red color. Dry litmus paper do not have any change. The reason is acids or bases can show their properties only when they get dissolved in water. When they get dissolved in water, they have free ions and those free ions are responsible for the chemical properties of acids and bases. Why it is recommended that acid should be added to water but not water to acid? Because the reaction of an acid with water is an highly exothermic reaction. That's why it is recommended to add acid to water but not water to acid. What will happen if pH value increases in our body? Already we discussed whether it increases or decreases. It disturbs the normal metabolic activities of a body because all the living organisms can able to survive in a narrow pH range. Slight changes in the pH value will disturb the life of an organism. Living organisms, like what we discussed, is the decrease in the pH value starts tooth decay. This all will happen. What happens when a solution of acids with solution of a base in a test tube? Which options are correct? See, a solution of acid was mixed with a solution of base in a test tube. What will happen? Which options are correct? Option A, temperature of the solution increases. Option B, temperature of the solution decreases. Option C, temperature does not change. Option D, salt is formed. See here, temperature of the solution increases and a salt is formed. Because you know the reaction, neutralization reaction, heat is liberated in a neutralization reaction. Heat is liberated. The amount of heat liberated, always when an acid react with a base, heat is liberated. As the heat is liberated in a neutralization reaction, the heat is known as heat of neutralization. That's why the temperature of the solution increases and a salt is formed. Option A and D both are correct. The reaction of an acid with base is termed as a neutralization reaction. It's an exothermic reaction because heat is liberated. That's why the temperature of the solution increases and salt is formed. The heat liberated during neutralization reaction is termed as heat of neutralization. That is called as heat of neutralization. It is known as heat of neutralization. Right. During the preparation of HC, dry HCl gas, the gas is passed through a GAR tube containing calcium chloride because we want to test whether dry hydrochloric acid can able to change the color of the pH. If any moisture is available, it will change the color of the pH. It will change the color of the litmus paper, whether it is a dry litmus paper or wet litmus paper. So in order to know whether dry hydrochloric acid can able to turn the color of the litmus paper, we have to remove any sort of moisture is present, we have to remove. That's why we have passed the dry hydrochloric acid into a GAR tube which contain calcium chloride, because calcium chloride will absorb any sort of moisture present inside the hydrochloric acid gas. During the activity of aqueous solution of acids conduct electricity, the intensity of the bulb is less if acetic acid is used, because acetic acid is a weak acid. Weak acid means the number of H plus ions are very less. That's why the intensity of the bulb is less. A solution of pH value is 5. It is an acid or base. Give reason. We already discussed about pH scale. 0 to 6 are termed as acids. If the pH value is 5, it is termed as an acid. The pH value of a solution is 13. Is it an acid or base? 8 to 14 are termed as bases. 13 means it is a base. Why acids do not store in a metallic containers? Why acids do not store in metal containers? Because acids react with metals and gets corroded. Metals get corroded due to the action of the acids. That's why acids do not store in metal containers. And why tooth decay start when pH value decreases than 5.5? So, when pH value decreases than 5.5, that is acidity increases, enamel which is made up of calcium phosphate started gets corroding due to the action of the acid, which we called it as tooth decay. That's why tooth decay starts when pH value decreases less than 5.5. So this is about today's class. I hope you all like the class. Please like, share my videos, right? And please subscribe to Easy Science YouTube channel. Thank you.